You're walking through a quiet Italian square at sunrise when you see it. A massive stone tower tilting so dramatically that your heart skips a beat. You stare at it, wondering, is it falling? Why hasn't it collapsed already? And why would anyone build a tower like that? Most monuments were designed to stand tall, but the Leaning Tower of Pisa became one of the world's most iconic structures completely by accident. To understand what actually happened, we need to go back nearly 850 years, long before tourists lined up to take pictures pretending to hold it up. Construction began in 1173, and everything seemed normal at first. But by the time workers reached the third floor, something strange happened. The tower began to tilt. At first, the builders thought it was a mistake in the stonework. They checked their measurements. Everything was perfect. The problem wasn't the tower. It was the ground beneath it. Pisa sits on a mix of soft clay, sand, and ancient river deposits, a foundation so unstable that it behaves almost like wet sponge under pressure. The soil simply couldn't support the tower's massive weight. As the structure grew taller, the soft ground compressed unevenly, causing one side of the tower to slowly sink. Instead of standing straight, the entire tower began creeping sideways. But here's where things get even stranger. Instead of abandoning the project, medieval engineers tried to fix the lean by building the next floors taller on one side than the other. They hoped to compensate for the tilt. What they actually created was a banana-shaped tower, curved, twisted, and leaning even more dramatically. By the time the tower reached its full height of 8 stories, it tilted more than 4 degrees, and everyone believed it would eventually collapse. Yet, it didn't. Why? Because the tower accidentally found something engineers now call soil stabilization. As centuries passed, the ground beneath the sunken side compressed to its limit, becoming dense and compact enough to stop the tower from sinking further. It was unsafe, but stable enough to survive. Barely. For hundreds of years, the Leaning Tower stood like a giant slow-motion disaster frozen in time. By 1990, the tilt had reached 5.5 degrees, and the tower was officially closed, feared to be only years away from toppling. Engineers around the world gathered to save it. Their solution was brilliant. They removed tiny amounts of soil from beneath the higher side of the tower. As the soil was pulled out, the tower slowly straightened, millimeter by millimeter, without using cranes, cables, or heavy machinery. By 2001, the tilt was reduced by 17 inches, bringing it back to its 19th century position. And scientists now believe the tower is stable for another 200 years. So what actually happened to the Leaning Tower of Pisa? It didn't lean because of bad construction. It leaned because it was built on weak ground, corrected with uneven architecture, accidentally stabilized by centuries of soil compression, and finally saved by modern engineering. The tower that should have fallen didn't. Instead, it became a symbol of imperfection that tourists adore and photographers chase. A mistake turned into a miracle, a flaw turned into a landmark. And today, the Leaning Tower stands proudly, not in spite of its tilt, but because of it. Sometimes history's most iconic wonders weren't planned. They were accidents that refused to collapse.